And that leads us into clipping layers, patterns, and blending modes. So what is a clipping layer? What it really does is it controls the visibility of a layer based on the contents of another layer. Essentially, a layer beneath acts as a mask for the layer above. It's like a reverse Uno card, but for masks. Let's talk about making our own patterns. So you can create your own pattern in Photoshop fairly easily. Basically, you just choose a base color and then fill the canvas with it. You paint on that layer with various brushes, colors, etc. And then you click in the Libraries panel, Add Elements. And from there, you choose Extract from Image. And what I'm doing is I'm going to set the foreground color. So I click on my foreground patch there, and I'm just going to choose a light blue. And then I'll go to the gradient tool. I'll click and hold on that, and I'll change it to the paint bucket tool. I'll click on this white canvas, and then I'll make it blue. Now I'm going to go to one of my brushes, and I'll make a big brush and a different color. So maybe green, maybe a dark green. And then we'll just do some random squiggles. And if you do a lot of things, it'll make it, you'll have a lot of options for where you can create your pattern from. So we're only going to take a part of this image and create a pattern out of it. So I think right now it's missing a warmer color. So I'm going to go to my yellows and then brighten that up a bit. And then let's do that with a bigger brush. And then with super soft. Okay. Okay, so this is something. Now I'm going to click on my Libraries panel. And I'm going to click on the plus down here. And we're going to extract from image. And this pops up a dialog box where we can make some adjustments. Currently it's set to patterns. We can also select shapes, color themes, gradients, and type based on this image. For now, we want patterns. So I'll click on the patterns. And there are multiple ways we can choose when we can create these patterns. So if you click on these, it all combines them together to make a repeating pattern in different ways. So you can choose one that works best for your image. Let's see. So that's kind of like a honeycomb. I think I like this one. So yeah, we got a kind of pattern that we can use. You can also scale your image and it'll sample it from where this triangle is in different places. So just kind of experiment with this. You can also rotate. So you can see you get a lot of different patterns just from one image using this. So I've got one that I like. Let's see. Okay, so that's looking okay. And then I'm just going to press Save to CC Libraries. And if I wanted to create another pattern, I could. So for instance, if I wanted to use that as well, and we can get something that looks like a clover or like a cherry blossom, but the wrong color, and save to CC Libraries. And now we have two patterns based on just this one image. And then I'm just going to close this. And actually, since it's saved in Libraries, we can close this image too. So I don't need to keep it open or even save it. I have the patterns that I wanted to create from it. And then we can get rid of this text. So what are we going to do with this pattern? Well, fortunately for us, there's an assignment on Canvas that will allow us to use this. So just click on the assignment, Pattern Jacket. And we'll just go through and follow these instructions. So we're creating a pattern using the extract from image feature of the library. Now, also, you could do this using the Adobe Capture app on your phone if you have that. Might be fun to play with that too. So let's download the starter file, this pattern jacket. And then we have a few instructions for what we're going to do. So we'll go through that one by one. So here's pattern jacket. I'll open that, make that big. Okay, so what is the first step? We want to apply a black and white adjustment layer to the jacket layer only. That is to say, clip the adjustment to the layer below. Okay, black and white adjustment layer. So I'm going to my little yin and yang, and I'll click on black and white. And currently that makes the whole image black and white, which is not what we want. So we will clip it just to the jacket layer. And so that's just making the jacket turn black and white. The rest of the image is in color. All right. Next, apply a curves adjustment layer above that, also clip to the layer below. Adjust the curves so that the base color of the jacket is 50% gray. Okay, so 50% gray. This is pretty close to 50% gray already, but we can get it a little closer. But first, we need to know what 50% gray looks like. So I'm going to go back to my shape tool, and then I'm just going to draw a circle over the jacket, and we'll go ahead and click on fill, and then I'll go to my spectrum, and hue can be anything. Saturation needs to be 0. Brightness needs to be 50. Now that is 50% gray. Okay, so now it looks like we need to darken this a little bit. One of the ways in Photoshop that you can classically change the brightness and contrast of images is by using the curves adjustment layer. So we'll do that. We'll click on the yin and the yang and choose curves. And once again, we will clip this to the layer. And then on this properties panel, which is for the curves, since we have it selected, you're just going to click on this little finger icon. And what we'll do is we'll use that finger to dedicate a point that we want to change the brightness of the pixels. For this, we want to make sure the sample size is set to 3x3 or 5x5. Point sample is going to possibly cause some problems for us. Let's go 5x5. Okay, so I'm clicking somewhere where it has what the normal color of the suit is. So I'm thinking about here, that's where it's hitting it with normal brightness. It's not getting in the highlights, not getting in the darks. And we just want to click and then drag. As you drag, it is going to darken that part of the image. So if we bring that up, we can make it almost white, but we want it to be that 50% gray. And you just kind of eyeball it. You just have to get close. It's not an exact science. And also the color is not all one color. So just get close enough. So it looks like here from the curves adjustment, what I did is I just moved this down a little bit. So that darkens the pixels just a little bit. We don't need this ellipse anymore. So I'm going to just drag it to the trash and get rid of that. Now, what we do want to do is let's apply from our libraries one of these patterns we created. And how you do that is you just click on it in the libraries panel. So it should be in the patterns group. If it's set to something else, if this looks different, you can change from custom group to type. And then type will give you these categories. So now we're in the patterns. And these are the two patterns that I just created. I'll click on the first one there. And then it's too big. It is way too big. So we can change the scale down, maybe even 1%. Yeah, that's looking good. And then once again, like we've done before, we're going to clip it to the layer. Okay, now if this were 1980, that would be fine. However, we can do better now. So this is a very flat jacket. It looks very unrealistic. So let's see if we can improve that. Now, this is where we get to the star of this week's module, which is blending modes. This assignment is just an introduction to blending modes, so you can kind of see how powerful they are. There's another video I want you to watch, so make sure to take a look at that. And that goes through the important blending modes, and it has some examples you can follow along with. So definitely take a look at that so you can understand blending modes more, because going forward, that's going to be very important in your use of Photoshop. But for right now, we're going to just hover over, with the pattern fill selected, the blending modes that are available here. So currently it's set to normal. That means the pixels are not getting blended with the pixels below. They're just staying the same. If we want to instead have the pixels above be affected by the pixels below, we can change the blending modes. So let's see what a few of them look like. So darken. Now we have the jacket with the lights and darks applying to our pattern. Multiply gives us a different effect. Color burn, even darker. Linear burn, much darker. And then darker color does something strange. Lighter will lighten the colors. Screen lightens more. Color dodge, even more. Linear dodge, even more. And so on. The one we're looking for is overlay. And this takes the exact colors of our capture pattern and applies them to the jacket. Now, what it does is it takes, in respect to the base layer, which is the jacket's original color, and if it's 50% gray, it's going to apply the exact color of the pattern that we have on top of it. If it is darker, it is going to darken the pattern. So that's why in these creases, we can see the pattern is being darkened there. So that's all due to this adjustment layer. Because remember, as we saw before, if this is just normal, we get this very cartoonish effect. If we want it to look more realistic, we can choose a blending mode. And in this case, we have prepared the image to use overlay. And this works very well. So this is the assignment. And we'll just go ahead and save this as your last name. So for me, it's Pfeiffer. And then dash pattern jacket. And then just submit that on Canvas. So you just go to, oh, I've actually already submitted this. Alrighty, so yeah, just go to start the assignment and then click down below to upload your file.